You were born into a life you never chose. Before you could speak, you were given a name. Before you could think, you were assigned a role. Before you understood what living meant, expectations were already being stitched into your skin. No one asked you if you wanted this. No one asked if you were ready. No one warned you what it would cost. They handed you a life like it was a gift, but it came wrapped in rules, shame, and invisible contracts. You didn't choose your body. You didn't choose your mind. You didn't choose the people who raised you, the society you were dropped into, or the systems that now control your time, your energy, your dreams. You were handed a script, told to perform, smile here, stay quiet there, dream within the lines, and maybe you followed it at first. Maybe you still are. Because what else can you do when the stage was built before you were born and the spotlight is already waiting? But sometimes, in the quiet moments, you feel it, the weight of it all. This life, this identity, this story that was started without your consent. You start to wonder, what would you be if you hadn't been molded to fit into something someone else built? You wonder how much of you is real, and how much was manufactured. And that's the fracture. That's where the pain leaks through. Because you're not just tired, you're grieving. Grieving the version of you that never got to live. Grieving the freedom you never really had. It's a strange kind of suffering, one that doesn't leave scars on the skin, but bruises the soul. A quiet ache that follows you from one empty moment to the next. You wake up, you perform, you scroll, you sleep, you repeat. And the world keeps telling you you're free. But freedom without choice is just a prettier cage. They say, you can be anything you want, but they only celebrate you when you become what they need. So you twist yourself into versions that feel palatable. You compromise to be loved. You soften your truth to survive. And little by little, you disappear. Not all at once, but slowly, quietly. Until one day, you look in the mirror and see a stranger. A person shaped by survival, not desire. A ghost in a functioning body. You keep moving, you keep doing, but the you that exists behind the eyes is barely hanging on. Because how long can someone carry a life they never chose? How long can someone keep pretending this is fine? You were born into a system that needs you to believe this is all there is. A system that feeds on your compliance, that thrives on your exhaustion, that sells you purpose but delivers distraction. And you're starting to see through it. That's why it hurts. The pain isn't a sign that something's wrong with you. It's a sign that something's waking up. Because only the aware feel this tired. Only the awake feel this angry. Only the ones who were never truly asleep can feel the pressure of a life that doesn't fit. You're not broken. You're not lazy. You're not lost. You're just remembering. You're remembering that you didn't choose this, and that you're allowed to question it. You're allowed to pause. You're allowed to feel betrayed by a world that never asked if you wanted to be part of it. You're allowed to unlearn what survival forced you to believe. You're allowed to build a life that fits the shape of your soul, not the shape of their expectations. Because living isn't about fitting in. It's about breaking out. Breaking out of inherited pain. Breaking out of invisible chains. Breaking out of the idea that your worth is measured by how useful you are to systems that were never built to see you. And when you start to break out, really break out, you'll lose people. You'll lose places. You'll lose versions of yourself you once clung to because they were safe. But what you lose in comfort, you gain in truth. The truth that you are not a mistake. The truth that your existence isn't something to apologize for. The truth that even in your quietest rebellion, you are rewriting what it means to be alive. Not a product, not a performer, but a presence. An echo of something real in a world trying desperately to drown it out. And maybe the road will be lonely at first. Maybe it already is. But loneliness isn't always an absence. Sometimes it's the clearing of space. Space for new roots. Space for real voices. Space for the kind of connections that don't ask you to shrink. Because when you stop pretending, you stop attracting people who only love the mask. And when you stop hiding, you stop living half alive. You begin. Truly begin. Maybe for the first time. Not with certainty. Not with a perfect plan. But with the raw, trembling courage to exist as you are. And maybe that's the only revolution that ever mattered. Maybe that's what they feared all along. Not your compliance, not your obedience, but your awakening.
Because a soul awake is a soul they can't sell back to itself. A soul awake is a spark that refuses to go out. And when you protect that spark, when you refuse to let it be extinguished, you change everything. Not the world outside you, but the world inside you. The only world you were ever truly meant to save. Maybe your job was never to fix a broken system. Maybe your job was to walk away from it and remember how to breathe again. To remember that your life is not a series of transactions. It's a sacred, fragile flame. It doesn't owe itself to anyone's blueprint. It doesn't have to look impressive to anyone else. It only has to feel real to you. And real doesn't always look perfect. Sometimes real is messy. Sometimes real is terrifying. Sometimes real is choosing yourself when everything around you begs you to forget. And when you choose yourself, when you really choose yourself, the systems lose. Because they never wanted you awake. They never wanted you whole. They wanted you small, scared, desperate for approval. But here you are, still breathing, still breaking rules you were never meant to survive under, still holding space for a version of you that was never supposed to make it this far. You were born into a life you never chose, but you're writing a new one. Every breath, every refusal, every moment you choose honesty over acceptance, every moment you choose to stay awake instead of falling back asleep, you are building a life they cannot touch. And maybe, after everything, that's what you were always meant to do, because you are not here to survive their systems. You are here to remember you were never theirs to begin with. You are here to burn the scripts you were forced to inherit. You are here to plant something that will outlive their noise. Something real. Something honest. Something defiantly, gloriously alive. You are still here, and that is enough. That is everything. Subscribe if you're ready to start living on your own terms. Share this if someone else needs to remember they were never truly powerless.